Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the wasmCloud community meeting for Wednesday, April 12th. We have got a little bit of a short agenda for today, but still pretty exciting. Let me go ahead and share that. So, taking a look at our agenda for today, Taylor and I are going to do a little bit of an update on the Wadham progress report, just a general check-in as we are rapidly adding a bunch of features to the version 4 of Wadham, which is something that's coming along really, really quick. And I have actually gotten to start working on it, which is pretty fun. And I'll talk about kind of what I've been working on too. And then we're going to talk about something that happened, I think it was yesterday. Let me check the time. No, that was when it was created. It was closed, I think, yesterday, but Golang officially merged WASI Preview 1 support into the main branch of the language repository, which is really exciting. So I'll hold off on any more discussion on that until later. Let's start out with the Wadham progress report. So Taylor, do you want to give kind of a brief overview? You've been doing a lot of work in here. I'm actually halfway through reviewing your PR, but of some of the things that have gone in over the past week or so.
Yeah, so I mean, I can demo this if people really want to see it. I know some people really like getting excited about it, but we can see it down the line. We'll just go through the quick overview. We are currently on track to get essentially the 0.4.0 alpha out by the end of the week. We still, before we fully call it off and ready to go, we're going to do some work over the next week or two after KubeCon, so we're going to be busy during the KubeCon week next week. Of tying up some docs, making sure it's integrated into Wash, all of those things before we mark it a full 0.4. So you're going to be able to try this out, get it used, and you'll see we've done a whole bunch of stuff around making sure we store manifests, we notify things, we automatically observe lattices. This is entirely highly available because of the stream design I've demoed on here before, and also by default multi-tenant. If you're running everything on the same NATS cluster with the same set of types of credentials, you can run multiple lattices and it'll automatically pick them up. It also has multi-tenant support if you're running something even more complex. And then in the open PRs, you'll see that Brooks is currently working on the actual logic for scaling actors. He'll be doing it for providers and linked defs next. And I'm actually going through a re-review of this PR as well right now. And right before this meeting, that's what I was doing, of being able to actually do the scaling logic. And then I'm doing the last little bit of glue, and we're going to have it all out hopefully by this Friday. And then also big shout out to Stephen, who graciously took on some of the grunt work and is working on the pipeline so that we have build pipelines ready to go. So it's been really exciting to see people from the community getting involved. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Just wanted to give the update. Next week, I probably won't be in this call because we're going to be at KubeCon, but the week after I will demo this in its full functional glory. Though you'll probably get a demo if you're in the wasmCloud Slack. You'll get a demo in there, recorded video demo once we get this working, because Brooks and I are excited to get it done. And honestly, once we get this done, this is where we start really opening it up for when you do big bursts of work like this. It's generally easier for the maintainers to just work on it and keep it on the right track, so we're not constantly rebasing on each other and stepping on each other's toes. But once we've gotten this out and this is merged into main, we're into the state where anyone who wants to improve things, add new types of fixes to the scaling algorithm, talking about doing the different things for scaling, or maybe even creating a new one, a new built-in scaler, all that stuff will be available for people to do, and we try to keep it relatively clean. It also means, in case you weren't here when we first talked about how we were going to architect this, everything is a library. So right now we're working off of a fork of the control client, so I could use a new version of NATS. But once that's gone and we're using all normal published crates, we're going to be publishing WDAM as a crate as well. So all of these primitives we used, you're not required to use WDAM to do any type of scheduling or other things for wasmCloud. All of these primitives you can actually take and use to write your own things, if you have the desire. So basically all the components we're building this out of, not WASM components, to be clear. All the different pieces of this that we're building it out of are fully available for people to use as a library as well. We're not sure if we'll see anyone actually do that, but we thought it'd be good to have it out there. So anyway, that's the current update. Excited to get it out and show it to people coming up here soon.
Yeah, happy to talk about the, some of the specific parts of the library if anybody is interested. I think Taylor hit the nail on the head. I had a PR that went in, I think it was like 4 days ago, that defined this like nice looking trait for creating scalars, and then now this new PR that I'm putting in is completely breaking that whole contract. So it's so much nicer to just iterate really quickly on this while we're teasing out what it's actually going to look like. I did want to mention just briefly that as Taylor and I and everybody else is going through this iteration process, we're kind of, and when I say we, it looks like it's all pretty much Taylor. But we're kind of thinking of things that we may want to improve in like the next version of Wadum, but are things that might need to be extended as we continue to implement like other scalars or things like that. Try to think, let me see if I can pull one of these. I think we've actually been resolving them pretty well. Like this one was one that I filed, but was actually not quite right. But I just wanted to communicate that at least if you're looking for a place to contribute after we launch the version 0.4, the issues will be a great place to look. We're kind of documenting things that were not quite getting done in this version of the refactor. Alrighty. Anybody have any questions about Wadum or the work that's going on here? Happy to talk more about it. Sweet. Well, keep an eye out for more stuff there. We'll get a nice demo to you. And just wanted to note also that you can see an issue for this is currently in the Wadum repository, but essentially the goal for getting this project to wasmCloud developers is to take it and embed it as a part of Wash, so that when you run Wash up, you get Wadum, you can start managing declarative applications right away. All that stuff will just kind of come right alongside the regular way that people are doing development. Stephen?
Oh, that kind of gave me a question. I was initially thinking that it would have to be like a separate ISO or something. So this is just going to be included in Wash?
I mean, that's kind of the nice thing about
That's
publishing
so cool.
it as a library and a binary. You could run it on your own, or you could use the embedded library. Previously,
we're going to probably
separate,
pull down the binary. To be specific there, for this task, we're going to probably pull down the binary because it'll just be easier, and then it's around to reuse. But yeah, you could technically embed it entirely into Wash if we wanted to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, we want to keep it easy. We want the ideal flow to be something where you run Wash up, it launches wasmCloud and the other components that you need for development, and then you can get right into using the functionality of Wadum. You shouldn't you should have the flexibility of being able to deploy it on your own, but shouldn't have to. So we'll probably add an additional flag, something like that don't start Wadum or something like that, but it'll probably come in by default. Cool. Well, then I think we'll move on to our next agenda item. This one, at least I got notified about it this morning, but the issue that's kind of been like a mega issue in the Golang repository for adding GoOS WASI Preview 1 and GoArch WASM as a compilation target just closed. It was a proposal, and then I guess got accepted. And then if you go and you look through the repository, there's been a lot of comments, a bunch of different individual components of Go, like crypto, net, HTTP, all those things that are that were added and referenced this issue, and it just finally closed let me see. When did they close this? 20 hours ago. So it was yesterday. And this is really exciting. I mean, so for wasmCloud, what we've done for a long time in lieu of having WebAssembly, like robust WebAssembly support without compiling in the garbage collector or assuming that you're running in the browser, is we've used TinyGo. And TinyGo, if you haven't played with it, is essentially it's kind of like a subset of Go, but it uses all the same standard libraries and is really meant for compiling to smaller embedded targets, not just WebAssembly, things like running on RISC or running on ESP32s, like microcontroller type things. It's super useful, and it has a pretty good WebAssembly support as it is today. The reason why I wanted to bring this up, I guess first off, to give hats off to everybody on the Go team who worked on this, because this is super exciting. It is also to talk kind of about wasmCloud and get the conversation started about what we're going to support. Talking to a lot of people at conferences, people have asked if we have Go support. And what we have always said is, well, we have TinyGo support. And sometimes when people hear that, they think that there's not really Go support. And it's all kind of a little bit of a complicated matrix of language support. So I know we have Jordan here, our resident Go enthusiast who refuses to touch Rust. We were kind of talking about a couple of things in the Gophers Slack this morning, like talking to some of the Go maintainers, some of the TinyGo creators and maintainers. And I'm just gonna propose, I feel like what is going to happen is would love to start experimenting with Go WASI support. There seem to be a couple of things that prevent us from doing the wasmCloud protocol exactly as we do today. And since WASM components are coming in WASI Preview 2, that won't quite work with the with WASI Preview 1. But it seems like it's close. This actual functionality is getting released in Go 1.21. The newest version that's out right now is 1.20.3. So when I was playing with it this morning, I just compiled from main. But by Go 1.22, they are looking to standardize the way that they deal with WebAssembly functions the same between Go and TinyGo. So I think by Go 1.22, us saying that we have Go support or TinyGo support is basically they're the same thing. I tried to summarize the learnings from the Slack and experimentation. Jordan, does that sound about right and match up with what you're thinking?
How do I sound?
Oh, normal. I was
Okay.
really excited to hear your other mic, but okay.
So from what I understand, right, if going back through that long thread, in the short to medium term, they're going to stick with WASI Preview 1, and we're going to be relying on the polyfill when it comes to Preview 2 and components. I think that's because the main folks working on it didn't know how far out or how not far out WASI Preview 2 really was. Bailey comes on video. Maybe she's talked to them.
I know the answer to this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Actually, the folks working on Preview 2 were like, hey, we really think it would be easier if you go ahead and get on Preview 1 because we've written this adapter that'll take a Preview 1 and turn it into a component. So like we can all move faster and get things working and have stability if you target Preview 1 first. So it was actually the folks working on Preview 2 that were like, yeah, no, we advise you to pick Preview 1 right now.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, now I have more backstory on that. So there's that fact. And then the other thing is they did mention a little bit of skew between what TinyGo's like WASM import build tag is going to do and what Go's is going to do. I've actually played with it this morning. So TinyGo's obviously a WASI import works fine. It seems that Go's only allows you to use WASM imports in either the syscall.js originating from the syscall.js library or the reflect or the runtime library. So the fact that we need to use it in our custom library, it does not like it. Now, I this is so new, I don't really have an answer on if that's just a temporary thing, or well, obviously it has to be a temporary thing, or when that's going to be fixed. And I think Brooks, if I deciphered what they said this morning, 122 is when they should meet TinyGo's at least current set of features. So I mean, was that on a 6-month release cadence? I think so, like 8 to 10 months ish.
Okay. And supporting the same kind of ABI that TinyGo does, do we need that to support it with wasmCloud? Or would it just be different between Go and TinyGo?
You see that I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly, I think one interesting conversation would be with the TinyGo folks is, now that Go is getting there, are y'all going to now refocus on embedded and continue, or are you going to continue supporting WebAssembly? I don't know why. I don't know the pros or cons of like duplicating the work. So I mean, I'd be interested in knowing that.
Yeah, my little issue that I put in, or not issue, just the comment in the Gopher Slack, which if anybody's interested in this conversation, it's not a closed Slack. It's just the open source Gophers Slack, and this is in the TinyGo and the WebAssembly channel. I asked if we like how TinyGo is going to proceed. I'm kind of catching up exactly. Some of the things that they mentioned, or Damien mentioned, which is one of the awesome people there, is that TinyGo has a different set of code generation, like doesn't support panic and recover on WASI. So their binaries are a little bit faster at that cost. Upstream Go has a hybrid port of 32-bit and 64-bit. And TinyGo binaries on WASI are generally a lot smaller, but not always smaller than the Go binaries. It's interesting that my Go binary compiled down to 1.4 megabytes, which is just our Echo TinyGo sample with a little hacking around. That's pretty good. That's pretty small, but compared to the TinyGo one, which is like 27 kilobytes, I guess you pick the thing you care most about. So, and this is always a pretty fun thing to come up with in a community meeting where we're kind of teasing out new ideas, because this is so new. But I know that the demand for just writing pure Go and compiling to WebAssembly, especially using it with wasmCloud for the people here, it's really high in demand. That's a really exciting thing to move across. So I'm going to keep watching that issue. I'm sure that Jordan is too. Jordan, you want to say some more?
Yeah, no, I just want to say, because we really haven't talked about it, now that the TinyGo WASI target is functioning, and I've tested it quite a bit, it actually opens the door to feel a lot like mainstream Go. Obviously, there's still a few quirks, but like all of a sudden JSON's working, embedded's working. All these libraries that pulled in or that like they pulled in like the runtime ticks and non-standalone WASM stuff have just started working. In fact, I've actually ported Rust completely out of all my examples because I no longer need it, which makes me very happy. So if Go's your thing, it's definitely worth looking at the WASI targets that TinyGo has, because it's opened a lot of doors.
That's pretty sweet. I think we should adjust maybe we can adjust some of our documentation to indicate that it's a little closer to, a normal Go experience. Or out of the box experience, I guess I should say. So Jordan, I know that you published a couple updates to like the Actor TinyGo SDK. We should probably update some of our project templates. Like when you do wash new Actor, we should make that come with the latest stuff and compile the WASI instead.
Yeah. So it needs an update to TinyGo Actor, TinyGo Message Pack, and TinyGo Seaboard. They're all very dated. So I will say, if you do a wash new Actor TinyGo, just do the go get update.
Okay.
Pull it all down. It all works.
Okay. Do you have like a mega issue or anything where you're tracking some of this stuff? Would love
Sure
to.
do. In my head.
Okay.
No, I haven't started tracking any of the WASI stuff. I actually started playing with it this week.
Okay. Yeah, would love to. And you're using like version 62 of the host, like our latest one.
62.1, yeah.
Okay, 62.1. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would just love to try to think of opportunities that we could get people to help contribute or to see what's going on. Especially with the future plan to have wash. Well, I know that I was kind of waiting to play with TinyGo a lot until I had something in wash that would tell me if I imported a package that used something from the browser. And I think using WASI, it sounds like would be a lot more streamlined than needing that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, would love to kind of up our TinyGo game to be on the same level as the Rust game, especially just keeping things all in sync, which would be pretty good.
A few community calls back, Jordan, you demoed a pretty sick demo with wasZero, where you kind of had everything combined. Have you played around with that at all recently?
No, that's kind of dead somewhere.
I have the link to it. I looked at it. Yeah, no, other people are interested in it. It seems like somebody just posted about it over in the Cosmonic Discord, kind of looking at WASM 3, and I was like, oh, Jordan's got a thing with wasZero. That's another thing to keep in mind, because it's just such a cool way to come up with a single binary that can run in tiny places, and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious if, like, that's the thing that we need to understand when we're looking at TinyGo versus like Go proper. What are the trade-offs, and do we need to support both, basically? Which sounds like it's easy and it won't be too much issue, since they're going to align the APIs. So anyways, that was just a thought.
Yeah, definitely. And from what I've said, when I've read, it does look like the TinyGo team has been really influential in the Go WASI development. So a lot of that stuff should overlap pretty tightly.
One of the other things I'm dying to try out is, since Go has Reflex support, it looks like, in the WASI Preview 1 build, there should be a lot of things that weren't working in the TinyGo space that will now work in the Go space. Which is, exciting.
Actually, they just rewrote the TinyGo Reflect library, and a lot of it's working now.
Amazing.
I think it's in a PR and you have to pull it in, but a lot of stuff has started working.
Yeah, we ran into I'm forgetting his name at wasmIO, who's one of the main TinyGo people, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're almost done rewriting the Reflect stuff." So that's good to hear that's actually there now.
Yeah, I was following that PR for months, and I guess I kind of gave up on it, but I should never have given up. I knew they were working, and they kept making changes. I see Steven asked another question about, like, are other languages coming along with WASM and WASI, and the answer is heck yes. So I'm on the technical steering committee, so I pay attention to all these things that happen in the governance side of things in the Bytecode Alliance. And one thing that's going on there that we just approved is let me get the link. Is TypeScript compilation, a special interest group within the Bytecode Alliance. So actually, we didn't just have one solution. There were 3 people came up and they were like, I have 3 different ways that we can get WebAssembly working with compiling to WASM and WASI. And so we want to come up with, how do we have an ecosystem built around it? What's the right things? And so we iterated with them a bunch, and I just posted that pull request. So that SIG just started. If that's something you're really into, TypeScript specifically, and having TypeScript compiled to WASM. And to be clear, we also have JavaScript compiling to WASM. There's this tool called Componentize.js. And so conventionally, what we always kind of expected, because we were like, wow, that's hard, right? Because you need basically a nominal type system to be able to statically analyze the TypeScript and turn that into a WASM module. We're like, that feels like a hard process. What definitely we could do is compile your TypeScript to JavaScript like you normally do for the browser. And then if you have a WASM module that embeds a JavaScript basically engine, you get a bigger WASM module. That's definitely the downside there, but it would work, and it would work with just about all different types of TypeScript and JavaScript. It wouldn't be just the subset. But the folks over at Intel are like really interested in finding a way to get it as slim as humanly possible. And the best way to do that is to start with TypeScript and not have to embed any type of engine. So anyways, that's the motivation for that one. And it feels like every day different languages are popping up. TypeScript's just one of them. I saw work happening for Python for Componentize Py coming from Joel Dice. So anyways, they're everywhere. I didn't keep up with the comments, but hopefully that answered the question.
Hey, I was just happy to hear you on the language soapbox, Bailey. All the developments on language are so exciting. They're happening so fast. It's like hard to keep track of, honestly, what has added WebAssembly support, and you can compile binaries too, and all that stuff. It's really fun. I'm excited for this upcoming WASM day, just to see what people are doing with components. I think there's, especially with JavaScript components, WebAssembly components all around, it's going to be pretty cool. Jordan?
Just as a soft tangent, maybe, on the topic of different languages, I was able to take Bailey's whole component thing, use is it Mosaka, his whole wit bindgen for Go, and more or less almost not all the way there, but close, got the Echo component working with HTTP. So it takes a whole lot of guessing for me, but it's very exciting because it feels like maybe like 3 weeks ago, it felt like we'd never get there. And all of a sudden, a lot of things are coming to a head at a time. And it's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Sorry, my dog Loki is popping off over here, but it's definitely one of those things where once things start working, more people start building. Okay, bud. And then also, the really exciting thing is that we were like, hey, now we can stop using Rust for everything. I just want to say that, like, with the components, now you can write in any language you want that compiles to a component, but like pretty soon it's gonna be like all of them, right? So all of the different languages, and then we could be writing stuff in Rust, and it doesn't matter to you. You can write your thing in Go and link to that component and just get it, right? And so this whole like language wars that we've had for, I don't know, 20 years or more, that just completely melts away. So I'm pumped. Loki's pumped. So yeah, let's go.
We are getting some conflicting language things in the chat. Just gonna go ahead and leave those alone. I think it's probably worth Taylor. I think it's probably worth mentioning that next week, Taylor said it briefly at the beginning of the call, but majority of the wasmCloud maintainers and some of us, coming from Cosmonic, are going to be at KubeCon in Amsterdam. So starting actually this Saturday with Cloud Native Rejects, Taylor and I are doing a talk there. Bailey, do you have a talk at Rejects? I thought you might, but well, hopefully I didn't remind you. Okay. We're going to be presenting on Monday at Cloud Native Rejects, and then we have a couple of talks spread across Cloud Native WASM Day, and then culminating with Kevin Hoffman. You all know Kevin, presenting on Friday at the main conference about his event sourcing work that he's going to be that he's been working on and demoing over the past couple community meetings. Bailey is going to be doing the keynote at Cloud Native WASM Day, which will be really exciting. I don't think that event is being streamed, but Cosmonic sponsored this session recordings for the event, so they'll all be on YouTube within, I don't know, they do it pretty quick. It'll be within a week or two of the event ending. So lots of exciting stuff. Looking forward, we will likely do a really abbreviated community meeting next week. Here, Taylor is pulling up some talk things. I'll go ahead and share them. We will likely do a pretty abbreviated community meeting next week. And the whole reason for that is that we'll likely be either at the wasmCloud booth or walking on the floor or going to talks and things. So we'll try to tune in from there. Maybe we can catch some of you folks if anybody is coming in from Europe and actually going to the event. But just a heads up that it'll probably be pretty light next week. Try to do a couple updates from what's going on, and then go from there. So Taylor and I both. Wait, is it the same thing? Nope, I just saw WebAssembly twice. Taylor is doing his talk on Monday, the solo talk, and then me and Taylor are doing a talk together, which will be fun. It's always fun. Is Rejects being streamed, actually? I don't know the answer to that.
I think it does get live streamed. Let me double check.
Nice. Well, then you all should definitely catch that one. You can catch that no matter where you are.
I know it's recorded for sure. So even if it's not, I'm trying to find if they're going to stream that or not, but I don't see anything initially here on their page. So yeah, but they do record and put them up on YouTube. Rejects Talks, if you've never been or watched Rejects Talks, it's still one of my favorite KubeCon adjacent conferences. There's just a lot of talks that get more down into really interesting details that sometimes just don't get accepted at KubeCon, given the large crowd and the different business things that need to get done there too. And so you have some real interesting talk things that go on. And so it's very worth watching, not just for our talks, but for the whole thing. They just really have some good, I mean, yeah, he's looking at doing VMs and containers and Firecracker comparisons, and it's people who you might recognize, some people who haven't been on the speaking circuit before. It's really a great conference. So just gonna rep it for a little bit there. It's very worth going to and watching if you're not in Europe.
A lot of fun. And then last kind of call out, Bailey reminded me, Bailey and I actually went and streamed our talks from DevOps Days Nashville that we did last week. Oh, hey, that's a good face. We'll just go back to the beginning. We we live streamed our talks because we noticed that the event wasn't being recorded or live streamed. So we wanted to try and bring that to the masses. Bailey had a really awesome Ignite talk, not Ignite. What's it called? Lightning. Yes, it's an Ignite talk, not a Lightning talk. So it was auto advancing 15-second slides, which was kind of a crazy hectic format for WASM Whirlwind. So I definitely recommend you go and check this one out. I can send a link in the wasmCloud Slack maybe after this, but just wanted to let everybody know that we had a couple more talks that we streamed. I think I saw Steven there following along, which was fun. Glad to have you in the audience. But I think that's it. Lots of exciting events and things coming out. If anybody has anything else that they'd like to announce at this point, feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, I think we can just move on to free discussion time. If anybody has anything that they'd like to talk about. Alrighty. Well, then I think we'll probably call it here. Thanks everybody for coming today. Really great, kind of brief but exciting things talking about in this community meeting. Just to harp on it again, it'll probably be pretty light, but we will be here next week when we're in Amsterdam, and looking forward to seeing y'all either at the conference or after the conference and all that stuff. So thanks everyone. See you next week.